Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Reminder: like, comment, subscribe. Right down there. Go ahead. I think the like button's
Do it.
over here
Do it.
somewhere. Comments are lower down there. Subscribe is, I think, yonder. I might be doing this right. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. But do yourself a favor. Get some more Autumn Windbags in your life. So this is an intriguing time. Soto, we're going to have all off season to talk about all the offseason moves. But after the Raiders got their dicks kicked in by the Chiefs on Sunday, this is kind of how everyone's feeling right now. Just sad, and everyone deserves better. So this is the morning after our friend Adam Hill from the Las Vegas Review-Journal tweeted this out. Raiders fans deserve better. This is obviously in Las Vegas. And when I saw this, my one thought was, Las Vegas, y'all have no idea. You've been dealing with this for a year and a half. We've been dealing with mediocrity for 20.
You remember the movie Little Miss Sunshine?
Mm-hmm.
When the dad sits down at the end when they're at the little show, the beauty pageant, and he turns to this like biker dude and he's like, "So which one's yours?" And he takes the earpiece out and he's like, "It's your first time?" Puts the earpiece back in. It's definitely their first time having high expectations and getting shit all over.
Yeah,
Definitely not ours.
Not ours. It happens. So the question is, how do we move forward? And with morale at an all-time low, you start thinking like, how big of a blow up are we going to do? Full rebuild, just generally try to get better, massive overhaul, right? Like, are we just like, adding some flowers to the flower bed and like, painting the outside? Or are we just like overhauling everything and building a whole new foundation, right? That's the question that we're asking. And we've been debating this back and forth throughout the season. Is like, and I've been saying, I don't think this is a team that's capable of a full rebuild just because how it's structured, right? All of our best players are young guys that you'd want to build a future team on. And all of our older expensive guys, again, one major exception, which we'll get to, but all of our older expensive guys are guys that we want gone anyway. Corey Littleton and those guys like that, right? So it's like, this is a team that is a rebuild team. Like this is like a team that's already in stage 2 of a rebuild. So, but you thought that we'd be able to rebuild a little bit more than I thought. And I said, okay, let's get together Tuesday night. Let's bang this out. Let's do the math. Let's get salary cap numbers out there. Let's look at this roster. And when I looked at your notes, I thought I'd have a whole list of players that you'd want to get rid of. And it isn't. There just really is. This is not a rebuildable team roster wise.
Yeah. It's more of a rebuild direction wise. Okay. And there's different types of rebuilds. Fairly or not, the leader of your team and the face of your team takes on a lot of the characteristics of your results. And it may not be that person's fault. It may be partially their fault or none of their fault. But the thing is I think to move forward for both parties involved, I personally believe it would be better for Derek Carr's career, and also it would be better for the Raiders for a fresh start and moving on in a new direction. Now, what I did was, because the thing is I started doing the numbers and looking at the cap and stuff like that, and I'm like, there's nobody else on this roster anyone's going to want, really.
It really is a good young roster. It's actually pretty good, right? Like, yeah, Colton Miller just signed a new deal, right?
And it's a good deal. It's not a crazy deal.
It's a good. No, I think we're getting a lot of value for what he's playing and locked him up.
Yeah.
All of our like rookies that we're definitely going to want to extend. Max not rookies, but younger, rookie younger contract players, guys. Yeah, they're going to keep Max Crosby, Hunter Renfrow. I love our rookie class, minus Leatherwood, but minus our first round pick. Like, our rookie class is great. Like,
they're showing in there, and they're showing that they can play.
So really, like, the core of this team is young and ready to be built on top. Like, I think the foundation of this team is pretty solid, right? Like, there's obviously a lot of moving parts on all of those 1-year players this season. Which ones do we keep and stuff like that? But
and which ones can we keep, honestly? But the thing is again, we have to talk about, before we start moving forward with this discussion, we have to make sure we're speaking the same language. What is your definition? There she is.
Nope. Okay. Hold on. Hi, princess. All right. This is future Raiderette right here. Say hello. She's naked. We're live, so I don't want my naked baby on TV. Go. Okay. Get out of here. Close the door.
Dog. They're both naked. Wait a second. We have to define what we mean by the words, the tag words that we use. By having a strong foundation, what does that mean? Does that mean the bulk of your team? Does that mean the leadership? What does that mean? And that could be debatable if you're saying leadership, because some people feel that Derek Carr is an issue with the team. Some people feel that maybe some of the peripheral players are an issue with the team. I did some research, and I want to start off with this. This is where I'm starting off with, because I want to make sure we're speaking the same language, okay? I took Derek Carr's entire career, okay? I hope we can agree on this. Play in the fourth quarter is more important than play in other quarters, because you can have a rough start to a game and still be in the game to win it in the fourth quarter. So your play in the fourth quarter means a lot, and overtime. So what I did is I took Derek Carr's stats for his entire career in the fourth quarter and overtime, okay? And here's what I found. Derek Carr in his entire career, fourth quarter and overtime, is 790 for 1247. That's 63%, 63.3%. 8,787 yards. For you mathematicians, that comes out to I don't know how many yards per game. It's 124 games. He's had about 124 games. So whatever that is, 124 games.
Bang up research there, Soto.
Yeah. 7 yards per attempt, which is not good. He has 62 touchdowns, and he has 44 total turnovers in the fourth quarter, 32 interceptions, and 12 fumbles lost. So that leads to what I was talking about this year with some of the close games. How does Derek Carr play in the fourth quarter? And I will have one note. Our best season under Derek Carr by far was 2016, right?
Yep.
In 2016, Derek Carr was 89 for 145, 61%, a little bit lower than his average, for 1,246 yards and 8.6 yards per attempt, 11 touchdowns, and only one turnover, which was an interception. That goes to show you, even with a middle-of-the-road defense, or a higher than middle-of-the-road, maybe a 20th ranked defense, what's most important is the play of the quarterback in the fourth quarter. That is most important when you're in games. Now, we've already seen how Carr's play and what his winning percentage is when the Raiders give up 20 points or less. He's 5'9" something. It's not even 600 winning percentage. This is an issue that, regardless what we put around Derek Carr, needs to get better. This is
not a regardless of what goes around. I mean, fourth quarter points is the whole team, right? Like in 2016, he had Crabtree and Amari Cooper and
RJ. I'm not even going to get into that, because he's had players, he's had targets, he hasn't had targets. He's had a great line, he's had a bad line. He's had a terrible defense, he's had a decent defense. Yeah, no, but the thing is again, he's not great even when the team doesn't give up a lot of points. Okay, so we have to speak the same language before we move forward. And what I'm telling you is Derek Carr is not good in the fourth quarter and overtime. What I've been pounding the table on, when you keep telling me, he has the most comeback wins since he's come into the league, is those are back and forth games that he just happens to have the ball last. Those are all, I think.
What's the difference between him driving down and scoring last? Like, that's my point, is like, it's not a tangible stat.
But here's what is a tangible
that's a nothing
stat. What here's a tangible stat is 62 touchdowns and 44 turnovers in the fourth quarter.
What that tells me is the Raiders are down all the time when he's the quarterback. Like, that's honestly right. Like, we can all agree that, like, he's had to bring this team back all the time because the run game's trash, defense has been trash, and it's been no one but him that can win the game for us.
Okay,
fair?
Again, and no, that's not fair. That's not fair. What I'm
Who else could
saying
win the
is
game for us?
his play, but he's losing games, RJ, is what I'm telling you. Is he's losing games in the fourth quarter by his play. Now, we're in agreement this year specifically. He's balled out and he's won us games with his play. But what you're not willing to accept is he's lost us a bunch of games with his play in the fourth quarter as well.
No. That's what I've been saying the whole time is this team isn't good enough to win games unless Carr balls out because the team's bad, right? The run game isn't going to save us. The defense isn't going to save us. Special teams isn't going to save us, right? It's either Carr plays phenomenal and carries the team, or he doesn't, and the team can't pick up the slack. And that to me is why like it's a bigger team issue. Like again, Carr absolutely has his issues. We'll talk about it all day long. The fumble.
So can you agree that his fourth quarter is an issue?
I can agree. I can agree that the fourth quarter for this offense is an issue, and Carr is a big chunk of it. A very
and
large
for his career, Carr has not been good in the fourth quarter.
He is a big chunk of the offense's problem in the fourth quarter. Absolutely.
Again, my question is, in his career, you see the numbers here. He's not good in the fourth quarter.
And my thing is, what does that turn into draft capital wise? What does that turn into trade capital wise? Right? Because I know you've like been nitpicking every little bad thing that Carr does, and that's the only thing on your mind. But I think the rest of the league,
nitpick. What I'm
you do though.
I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set the basis for my discussion here is because I have two options, and I understand what you're saying, but we have two options here. And I agree that, of course, just like anybody, but the thing is, I think your swing is a little bit too big. It's not that Derek Carr has to ball out and be amazing for us to win. He just can't be terrible in the fourth quarter.
He has to ball out. Like no one's we haven't won games unless he's balled out. Name one game we won, we didn't ball out.
But thing is name the. But I gave you 4 examples where he played absolutely terrible in the fourth quarter of winnable games, and we lost. There's a whole middle ground there, RJ, between balling out and his play in the fourth quarter of those close losses. There's a big gap in between those two, almost as big as the one between your butt cheeks. But what I'm saying is. That's what I'm saying is, RJ, so we have to speak the same language. I'm not trying to shit all over the guy. What I'm saying is he is inconsistent, and that inconsistency shows no greater than in the fourth quarter play by how good he has been in our wins and how terrible he's been in our losses. Now, the narrative isn't he has to ball out for us to win in the fourth quarter. Is we can keep him in games. He just can't fall apart in the fourth quarter, and we can win some of these games. That's my basis for my argument. Whether you agree or not, I don't know. But there's two options that I see that we have. And I'm actually changing a little bit from what I said previously in previous episodes. Our first option is we look to trade Carr. We trade him to a team that's either has an issue at their quarterback spot, whether as they're like a quarterback that's unhappy there, or they're not happy with the team's not happy with their quarterback, or there's some kind of issue where we trade Derek Carr for something in return, whether it's a quarterback back and a pick or something. Because a lot of these options, we're going to take back a quarterback that is not as good as Derek Carr. But the real asset is not having that contract that we have to pay for and the assets we're going to get in return. The second option is we don't do anything and we just basically let him know, look, these are things that need to be improved for us to move forward with you as a franchise quarterback, because the last time that we showed faith in you, you regressed mightily the following year with a lot of the same people you had offensively. So that's the 2017 season. So we already gave you that benefit of the doubt by keeping you around after that big debacle. Okay. But we're at a crossroads here. And I think we can both agree, we're at a crossroads right now where we either extend them or we cut them, or we can cut them loose. Not cut them, but trade them. So I don't feel like we should extend him right now until he shows that he can be that player more consistently in the fourth quarter.
So you don't want to extend him until halfway through next season? You're going to let him actually play through or a big chunk of the final contract year?
Yeah, that my only
then it's hard to
issue,
trade him at that point.
I agree, but my only issue with Derek Carr, that now that I've put a deeper dive into his numbers, is the fourth quarter. his inconsistencies are like they run the gamut. He's really hot and cold. Okay.
To me, it's so much more simple than this.
It is.
Can we get rid of him and get someone better? Yes or no?
The problem is, RJ, no, that's not the right question to ask. Can we get someone better right away? Probably not. But it's not about right away. It's about building something stronger for the future. The thing is that, and that's what I hear from some people that are hitting me up, who are going to get better than Carr. Dude, who is willing to give up a quarterback better than Carr? It's not about getting a quarterback better than him. It's about putting your team in a better position. And the problem is
but nothing puts a franchise into a spiral like being in quarterback purgatory.
You can't be afraid to make money, baby. You got to put money on the table to win. You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
If you
There's
bet
nothing worse than having no quarterback.
If you bet $1 and $2, you're not going to make any money that way. You have to risk something to win something. The problem is
you got this situation more right 3 months ago when you said, all right, I don't want to pay Carr $45 million. Well, let's just re-sign him for 25 or something reasonable.
Here's the problem, RJ. If he continues to be this inconsistent in the fourth quarter, I don't see our situation getting much better, no matter who we have around him. That's a problem that I see that's worse than anything else out there, is his inconsistent play in the fourth.
There's other major changes coming to this franchise, right?
There
head coach, right? Like there's
potentially an entire coaching staff, coaching staff,
a whole front office.
The problem is what's not changed throughout the entirety of Derek Carr's career, regardless of offensive weapons, regardless of line, regardless of defense, of coaches, of anything, scheme, regardless of any of that, is his play in the fourth quarter is not been great. He has 1 year where he was very good in the fourth quarter, and that just happens to be the year that we did our very best. The other years have been no good, and we haven't been good. It's the fourth quarter. I'm telling you, I will send you all of this individual year stats just so you can see how he's done every individual year, and they're not good, man.
There's 100 stats you can use to base a quarterback's ability on, and fourth quarter stats specifically is like 37th on that list.
Like, that is not true, RJ. I think you're saying that because you want that to be true.
It is true. There's a million stats you can have for a quarterback, and you're choosing just fourth quarter. But look, okay, this isn't the conversation that we're having today.
Look, RJ, I'm trying to build a basis for this conversation. That's the thing. I'm trying to build a basis, but you're just poo-pooing it like, oh, that's nothing. I'm showing you that in the most important time of a game, the fourth quarter, he is not good. He is not even average. He's bad in the fourth quarter. I'm trying to show you that, and you're just like, oh, that's nothing. I don't want to look at that. That doesn't mean anything. Of course, the fourth quarter makes a lot more sense. It's a lot more. I mean, look, I can waste my time all I want. Let's just go on with this, because if you're not willing to
let's see what
the fact that the fourth quarter.
Let's see what Omar has to say. Omar says, love Soto, his right, but DC time is up. His fault or not, we have been drafting bad with 3 busts. Everyone must go. And this is exactly what this conversation is, right? What level of rebuild are we looking for? I think this is the main conversation, because think about it for a minute here. Super hypothetical. Play the super hypothetical game with me, Soto. If we had a top 5 offensive line this season, right? We've had a trash offensive line. If we had a top 5 O-line, what would our record be right now? Would we be first place AFC West? Because with a really good offensive line, our run game is there. Derek Carr gets better protected. Our defense isn't on the field for 40 minutes a game, right? I think if we had a really good offensive line, we would be in a wild card spot right now. We'd be the 5th or 6th seed right now. I really truly believe that. This isn't just super level optimism. And so that goes back to my point, Soto, is if we're just, now again, making a top 5 offensive line is no small feat. But if we just did that one thing, improved one area of our football team, and now we're a playoff team, is that a team so bad where we just fucking burn down the entire forest, salt the earth so nothing can grow, and move on to the next valley? I don't think so, especially with how good our rookie class is and those wonderful gems that we have on rookie contracts. I don't know
but
if
that's a
this is
big if.
destroy
That's a
everything
big if, RJ. But that's the thing is you're basing your whole argument off of an if.
on a big if. Again, it's a that's what I'm saying. It's a hypothetical.
Like that.
game.
But the thing is let's look back at the time that Derek Carr has had a better line. It's still not his play when the game matters most has still not been good. He's
also,
the guy with
neither's our defense. We haven't had great weapons.
He's
Like,
the
again,
guy
it's
with
a
the
whole
ball in our
offensive
hands.
thing. It's the whole offense and defensive.
You have to take a look at a lot of these different.
Thank you, Omar.
A lot of these thanks, Omar. A lot of these different stats. His record when the defense has shown up and given up 20 or less points. When he did have an offensive line, how did he fare when the games mattered most towards the end of the game? And he just hasn't been good, man. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. I'm saying he's an inconsistent quarterback. And those inconsistencies, especially when the game matters most, that's what needs to get fixed. That's what needs to change. But the thing is, after year 8, is it really going to change that much?
I think with a brand new coach, brand new front office, and brand new everything,
but he's had that.
Different.
He's had that.
Look at Matthew Stafford, right? He was looked at as a joke in Detroit. Goes to LA. They just beat the Cardinals last night. Like a whole new coach, a whole new system. Hell, decent drafting.
How long is it going to take for us to get a roster besides Stafford like the Rams? It's going to take a long time. Okay, so we can't look at that comparison as the same thing. We need somebody who is more dynamic and who can cover up more of our warts than Derek Carr can.
Who? Again,
maybe he's still in college. Maybe he's still writing term papers right now. But the thing is the way you're looking at this argument is wrong. We can't replace somebody and get someone better than Derek Carr right now. That's not going to happen unless.
Then keep him. Don't make the team worse, especially like realistically.
RJ,
what will we get for
Derek Carr?
You're
looking at this the wrong way, man.
No, you would
rather be middling in where we are right now and just we're this far away. Let's just run it again. We're this far away. Let's run it again, dude. How much does he have to show you? To show you this is who he is as a player, regardless of how good his line is, of how good his weapons are. When the game matters most, he's not good. When the defense actually shows up, he's not good.
When the team has always been a D or worse, he has a ceiling and it's not that high. If the team was a C+ or a B, his ceiling drastically changes. You know that, and I know that. That's what I'm talking about.
But the thing is, you're changing all these different things on offense. He needs a better line. He had a better line. His play when the game mattered most was not good. His overall record was not good. When his defense does show up, because he doesn't have a defense, when they do show up, his winning percentage is not good.
Exactly. He's been on a shit team all 8 years of his season.
Yes, but even when the defense does show up, he's still not good.
You need to get a better player for that position. It's not like we can get like 3 firsts out of him. And
dude, what did Belichick do? What did Belichick do? He bided his time. He built the rest of his team. And when he saw the opportunity, he got the quarterback. And look at them now.
Yeah, because you're proving my point. The Patriots are a way better team fundamentally. Coached, offense, defense.
Why can't we follow their model?
And so
the best quarterback ever,
succeed.
The best quarterback that ever played the game, they said, okay, well, we know we can't pay you what you want. Go ahead and go somewhere else. We'll just kind of grab a guy here and there and kind of figure out what we can do. We'll build the rest of our team while we find the right guy.
Darren Waller's been on a losing team the whole time. Should we get rid of him? He's proven he can't get us to the playoffs. He's proven we can't win with him.
That's not the same. A tight end is not worth to your team, worth as much as your team.
But you get what I'm saying, though.
No,
you get what I'm saying, though.
I don't get what you're saying, because no one player in sports is more important to your wins and losses than the quarterback of your football team.
And you want to get a worse quarterback.
I don't want to get a worse quarterback. I want to build a team around that we can't do if we keep Derek Carr. We cannot do it because we're going to have to pay him too much money. We need that money, and just you use that money elsewhere. We need to get assets to build a team around us. We're trying to put a Band-Aid on top of a Band-Aid on top of a Band-Aid. We've been doing this for years, and everything stays the same. Something's got to change, and unfortunately, let's put Derek Carr in a better position to win. It's going to be somewhere else, but dude, he's not going to win here. He's not what we need.
What? He's not what we need. I don't know. I don't know what that means. He's the best
Because you're
option available.
refusing.
He's the best option available at quarterback. Yes or no?
Look, this is going to be a very short show because you're not willing to validate how bad he is in the fourth quarter.
Our team is
somebody better.
He leads the league in comebacks. Like he's still like, yeah, he's got bad games and good games, and he's got bad numbers and good numbers.
All right.
But look, when you've got trash weapons, Hunter Renfrow is our leading receiver. Hunter Renfrow. The guy didn't have 100 yards receiving in college, and he's the leading receiver. The right side of our offensive line, worst in football. Defense started out decent and fell apart. And you want to place the one position that's been consistently above average, top 12. That I'm not gonna. That's impossible.
Top 12 to what? Top 12 in what?
In just about every metric. Yards thrown, touchdown passes, completion
fumbles,
percentage, 20 plus fumbles. Fumbles terrible. Fumbles
fourth
terrible.
Quarter turnovers. I mean, these are things that you're not willing to accept, RJ. And the thing is,
I told you yes, fumbles.
But you're looking to minimize the importance of games when they matter most, and that's our sticking point right now.
Our sticking point is I don't want to live in quarterback purgatory, praying and hoping that we're going to stumble on someone better than Carr, especially a franchise that's been atrocious at acknowledging talent.
Here's the issue that I have. Every time you talk about Derek Carr doing something well, it's, wow, he had a great game. He had a phenomenal game. He had a terrific game. But whenever you want to make your point, it's, I don't want to fumble around and try to find another and stumble upon another quarterback. Like, we're just going to go like this with our hands over our eyes and go, okay, we're going to pick this guy. We're not going to do that, JR. The last time we chose a quarterback with the first or second round pick, guess who we got? We got Derek Carr. The last time that we actually used some kind of draft capital to pick one. And we got the guy that's been our quarterback for 8 years. So don't sit here and say that we can't do it because the last time we tried, we got Derek Carr.
Okay, that's one pick of one draft. Look at how we've drafted the last 20 years. That's a much, much more accurate way to judge how well the Raiders draft. Not just one pick where Reggie McKenzie either got lucky or maybe it was brilliant. I don't know. 20 years of bad drafting, far, far below drafting, regardless of who the owner is, regardless of who the GM is, regardless of who the coach is. It's been, you have to, you can see that. That's a way more accurate way to gauge how we're going to pick a quarterback than one time. Yes?
So how bad was the drafting for, let's say, the Cleveland Browns? How bad was their drafting until they actually started turning it around? It was terrible, but they started turning it around. Well, how was that? Because they got a new GM in there. They got new people in there. They got a new regime in there.
Again,
and we're going to have a new regime.
And that's the other big part. And that's the other big part too, right? Let's say we get, it also depends who are GM and new coaches, right? If they have a history of being really good at identifying talent, then I'd be, okay, these guys have proven that they make great roster moves, that these guys know what they're doing. At that point, I'd be like, okay, I think they've earned the right to be able to roll some dice, right? To make some different moves. If Mark Davis just goes like, oh, I'm going to go with my buddy or just in-house, right? Like the Mark Davis Raider way, then I'm going to say,
I hope not.
I don't, then I'm definitely not going to feel like I can trust these guys to like, all right, get rid of B- guys, because you'll find us an A. Then I'm just gonna be like, oh God. And that I think is the biggest part of this whole conversation. Who's the GM and who's the head coach? Like that's going to obviously direct basically this entire conversation moving forward. Omar chiming in again. We are a bad organization. It's not a quarterback issue. Hired a TV analyst who drafted three first-round busts. I say let him ride his contract, have a new quarterback behind him, use the money to build.
That's not a bad option either. Draft somebody.
I think I said that last offseason. You're like, let's get a new quarterback. I'm like, I'm down to draft like a developing quarterback, right?
Yeah, but you said a fourth or fifth round. Like, dude, we can't draft a fourth or fifth round quarterback and expect him to develop in time to be our guy. We have to use some real draft capital to get a quarterback, like first 2 round draft capital. Because if Derek Carr ends up turning it around, who knows if he does after 8 years, turn around some of those bad tendencies, then we have a young guy that we can flip.
And it's also timing too, right? Like if we had a top 5 pick this last draft, with how deep it was, like again, it didn't work out well, right? Like 5 of the 6 are kind of flopping around. But again, it also goes back to
like bad teams, though.
That's again, like that's the other part too. Is like, would Tom Brady be Tom Brady if he went to the Browns or Jacksonville instead of New England? Who knows, right? Would Aaron Rodgers be Aaron Rodgers if he went to, here or like a shit organization, right? Like or a shit organization, right? Instead of playing behind Brett Favre and being on, playing under some great head coaches and a good franchise. Like those are the other parts too that are really hard to figure out. But like, again, to my point, if we had like a top 5 pick last season, assuming these guys would have panned out, then maybe it's a little bit more, all right, because that worst case scenario, both, let's say we get Zach Wilson and Derek Carr, and they both ball out, fucking trade value through the roof, baby. Great. Like, there's nothing more valuable than a quarterback that can play, right? But between how bad this quarterback draft is going to be and how low our pick's going to be, that also drastically changes the formula.
It may not be that low, man. We could pick top 8 if we don't win another game.
I don't know. There's some really bad NFC teams.
No, there's some AFC teams that are ahead of us. Mm-hmm. And if they win 1 or 2 more games, we can just definitely hop into that top 8. But yeah, that's another option. My 2 options were trade Carr for picks, and the other one will just let his contract ride out. Because here's the thing: if Carr does show you that he can improve on those things that he needs to improve on, and he is someone that you can build around, then you don't mind paying him. Mm-hmm. Because he's shown you that he can do it. But the thing is we have to see more consistency out of his play. And it's just he balls out in our wins and he plays terrible in our losses. There's no middle ground with him.
Yeah. And again, and you can acknowledge that it's because the team's so bad, no one can save him, right? Like other really good quarterbacks can afford to have bad games.
I don't agree with that because we've been within a score in most of these losses. And his play has been bad. Not only have we been within a score, his play has been bad. 1 touchdown, 4 turnovers, 5 turnovers now.
He's also played really. He's like he
played. I know. I agree.
But
we're talking about the losses
on Sunday, and we still got our asses.
Well, the thing is he had the yards that he had because he threw the ball almost 50 times. That's why he had the yards that he had. He threw the ball 45 times.
If you watch the film on Carr, he played well on Sunday. Like he played.
I agree.
He played well,
but his stats were what? No. I agree 100%. He had a little time. But the thing is, what I'm saying is his stats were what they were because he threw the ball so goddamn much.
That's why. Okay, let's say, if you're the GM, right? We'll start wrapping this up. If you're the GM that gets hired this offseason, okay, and you're looking at this roster, take away kind of like your binary view of Carr. Just look at it like big picture. And also, this is the other part too, is every single GM, head coach, person of power in any organization is the same as anybody else. They're just thinking, how do I keep my job? Right? That's what we're thinking. Oh, this is what's best for the Raiders. And obviously what's best for the Raiders is what's best for the GM if he can make that success. But they're also thinking, how do I keep my job? Right? Big splashy moves, if they land, obviously look great for you. Right? But if you've gotten to be a GM or a head coach in the NFL, you've built some equity, right? Yeah. Even if you completely fall apart, you're getting a coordinating job after, right? Unless you do something just awful. Unless you just look right. Unless you Paul Gunther it, right? And then you should be teaching, coaching Pop Warner and
Gunther and Gruden somewhere. But those 2 guys are the epitome of fucking up,
right?
Okay, so look, I agree.
The other part too is
here's my deal.
My question is a GM going to roll the dice on? I'm going to get rid of Derek Carr and risk being in quarterback purgatory. Not what you or I think, but what a GM with his job on the line, would he do that?
It's happened before. It's happened before where a GM comes in and says, look, because here's the big, you have to evaluate what you have, right? And the biggest and the first and the longest evaluation is going to be on Derek Carr. If you feel like you've seen the best of Derek Carr, then you have to ask yourself, how do we make him win? Right? How do we make a team win with him? If it's just too much, if you're doing it pretty much what you'd be doing if you're building a whole new roster, then why keep him? You're going to bet on yourself and say, look, we're going to rebuild this. You go to Dave and say, look, this is our plan moving forward. Here's how this is what we feel. This is what you've hired us for. This is what we feel about XYZ, about Derek Carr, about his future, about where he's been. And then this is what I feel we should do, whether it's keep him or trade him. That's the first evaluation you have to make.
Yeah.
And that's the question is, okay, Mark Davis just hired a guy. He's not going to fire him because he doesn't like what he has to say. I'm hiring you based partially on what you're telling me your plans are. Now, you're not going to give me the entire plan, but you're going to give me a little sneak peek.
Some Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes, right? So he's hiring a guy that he kind of knows what the guy wants to do. But the thing is if the guy goes in there and makes a compelling argument, this is what I want to do moving forward. This is what I feel we have on this team. This is how I feel we should work. This is what I think is best for this franchise. Then we move forward from there, and it's going to be what he says. I personally feel like we can – I got a bunch of landing spots for Derek Carr. Some of them are a little bit pie in the sky. Some of them are a little bit more realistic. But it all depends on what the GM feels about Carr specifically, because that's the center of the universe when it comes to a football team as your quarterback.
Sure. This part I will 100% disagree with you, and I will bet you literally $100 that this is the case, that there's 0% chance Carr plays a single snap next season without his contract being either extended or traded. No way he goes into the last contract year and they risk him just like playing it out and getting nothing for him. I don't believe that for a second. I think this offseason, Carr's future will be decided by the new GM before he takes a single actual snap.
You may be right. And like I said, the guy comes in and he already has a plan moving forward, whether it's let's get what we can for Carr now, or, hey, we got something with Carr. We need to build around him. This is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to take. Mm-hmm. And then that's when you ask Mark Davis, hey, man, we need to get these players. We need to get these specific guys in these key positions to help him be the best he can be. I need the okay to spend money on this guy, on that guy, on draft this guy, draft that guy.
What do you think Mark Davis thinks of Derek Carr? He's literally never brought it up. It's never been discussed. I mean, he could be like you and just want him out of town. He could be like me and think like we can't do better. Somewhere in between. Do you think he thinks about it at all? Do you think he discusses it with his barber? Does he have a little list in his white fanny pack?
Does he write notes inside of the bowl they put on his head before they cut him? In Sharpie on that Tupperware bowl he uses? I mean,
that could be part of it.
Yeah.
That could be part of it. All right. Wavy. We need to build a winning culture, not get rid of players like Carr. New staff, new front office, and owner. Carr needs to speak the F up too. Owner. It'll be a cold day in hell when Mark Davis sells the Raiders. Like that is.
Look, guys, we got to stop. Wavy, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the super chat. But the main thing is we got to stop talking about sell the team. If you don't like Mark Davis and the Raiders, then just stop rooting for him.
Well, I will say this.
Team.
Mark Davis will never sell willingly, but we know how much the NFL hates the Raiders. We already saw what they did to John Gruden. If the NFL really, really wanted to force Mark Davis to sell, they might be sneaky enough to do it. That's the only hope, right? Mark, you have to peel the Raiders out of Mark Davis's cold dead hands for him to do it willingly.
Yeah,
could the NFL pull a move?
Why waste our time to like honestly
for it?
Like come on, he's not going to sell the team unless he's forced to, and that's going to take another stroke of genius, I guess if you want to call it that.
Or was he in the same email chain as Gruden?
Well, they didn't say it, so okay. But here's the thing, Wavy. After 8 years, like you pretty much know who he is. He's not going to be like. I agree with you. And Tim Brown said it in his tweet. He tweeted it out. They were getting their asses handed to them by the Chiefs, and they wanted to beat the Chiefs in '99 to keep the Chiefs out of the playoffs. And Gannon said, dude, I don't care what the score is. If you don't think we can win this game, don't even come out of the freaking tunnel. Mm-hmm. Don't even come out on the field if you don't think we can win. I don't see Derek Carr saying that. I don't see Derek Carr. See, the thing is you know the old question, right? Would you rather be feared or loved? Right? I want my quarterback to be feared by the team. Like, we can love the guy, but we don't like. There's one thing, like what Waller said before the year started. Oh, we don't want to disappoint him. Like, we love the guy. He always has our back. It's like, wow. But it's like a guy that you fear, you're going to probably do a little bit extra. And I don't think that Carr has that fear.
There's plenty of issues with Carr, but his culture and what he does in that locker room is not one of them. He is beloved.
I'm not saying he's beloved, but does anyone fear him? When he speaks up and gets, and even if he were to like say something harsh to the team, are people going to be like, "Oh, that's not you, man. Like that's just fake. Like that's not who you are." But sometimes that's what a team needs. And who is that player if it's not him? Divine Diablo spoke up. I loved it. He called out his team. Corey Littleton, he might as well have been holding up this number 42 jersey and pointing at it like this. Like, hey, you dogged it, bro. We needed you the most when Perryman was out, and you played 19 snaps because you weren't worth a shit.
Well, there's multiple ways to skin a cat, right? I mean, we know what kind of leader Derek Carr is and what kind of leader Derek Carr isn't, right? Like you're gonna pick and choose. And there's different ways to lead, right? Some CEOs, they rule with an iron fist. Some are, wear Crocs to work and they're beloved and teach yoga to everybody. It's whatever gets people on your side. And so the culture of the Raiders, the culture that Derek Carr brings is good. It's fundamentally sound. It could be different, better in a different sliver, but it's really good. I mean, just like, again, I always go back to like Aaron Rodgers and all these other quarterbacks bitching and moaning and complaining. No quarterback has more to complain about than Derek Carr, and he never has. And
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with a quarterback bitching.
That tears locker rooms apart.
That's not true. Because the Packers are fucking fine. The issue that I have is I don't feel like that's necessarily a negative when the guy's talking about making the team better. That's my main thing. As a leader, every leader that I've looked up to, that I've learned from, that I've seen as somebody who's an effective leader, he's that iron fist inside of a velvet glove. When he needs it, it's there, but he doesn't have to show it all the time. Ken Stabler.
It sounds like he gives really, really good hand jobs.
You're right. But the thing is, it's like Ken Stabler, like, dude, he would go out drinking, get hammered with everybody before, like the night before the game, and show up drunk to game and still ball out. But if you didn't do what you were supposed to do, he took you into the shower and he would fucking cuss you out.
It's such a different time though. Like you look at art, like the Raiders have like mental health awareness meetings, like right. Like this is a weird touchy-feely team.
Still football. You're still out there and you still have to reach people. That there's certain things that are universal. When someone that you respect is getting in your ass about something and you can't realistically look inside yourself and say, yeah, I'm doing everything I can.
I don't buy it. I like what Carr's doing leadership wise. Example.
I don't.
We'll agree to disagree on that one. Omar again.
We'll just disagree. How about that?
Omar again. Here's a thought: trade Derek Carr, go with Peterman, tank, because that's definitely what would happen, and get Arch Manning 2023. I'm down for Mariota too as a bridge quarterback. Well, Mariota can't stay healthy. I mean, he literally has not gone a single season. This is how I know fake news Soto is still alive and well. And you're like, Mariota doesn't get hurt except for when he was at the Raiders. He literally got hurt every single season with the Titans. Like he's going to get hurt, which is, you can't have that as a backup quarterback. Like that's your number one thing you got to be as a backup quarterback is available. And he won't be. Peterman, is he still on our practice squad?
No,
he's gone. He's gone, right? Well, the good news is if you want Peterman, I'm sure he's available. Like he's sitting right by his phone right now, like waiting for John Gruden to get a job at a junior college so we can go there and like work with them.
Yeah, look, bridge quarterbacks aren't bad, man. Wavy, what's up, man? True. But this guy went out. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Bought a damn WNBA team. He doesn't know jack about football. That mystique of the Davis name has run its course. Well, look, the beauty of being an NFL owner, you really only have to have one really good skill, football-wise, a football knowledge-wise. You have to be a good businessman, all those things, but good with the community, things like that. But football knowledge, all you really have to do is make one good hire, one good team president, one good GM, that's it. And you're good.
Not even one GM.
That's all it takes.
All you need to do is make one decision right, and that is get a good team president that you can. He doesn't have to be able. You don't have to agree. You have to be able to communicate. That is the big thing. Because if you could be the smartest person in the room, if no one else speaks your language, it doesn't fucking matter. You have to be able to communicate with somebody and be able to get across what you need to get across. And that's the one hire. And that's what I've been saying from the beginning is That's where we start the rebuild with a team president who can then make the decisions about who hires the head coach, who's the head coach, his coaching staff. Like, hey, head coach, we like these guys on our staff. Are you going to keep them or not? No, I'm not. Okay, so that's a different philosophy for a president. Do you push upon a guy, coaches that we already have, just because you like him and want to keep him? Or do you say, you know what, I'm hiring this head coach for a reason. I'm going to give him the ability to pick his own staff and shit like that.
SJ Raider, congrats on the success. Well, thank you. Y'all have earned it. Always
Thanks,
solid
man.
shows. Thank y'all. Yeah. Again, not to like jerk each other off, but we started off nothing, no background in Raiders. Like I have a broadcasting background, but it's in MMA and radio and stuff. And Soto was just some schlub Muay Thai coach. And we knew you, me, and Rory's text chain on the Raiders that's been going back 7 years, or however long it's been.
A long time.
Like, this needs to be a podcast. This needs to be a show. And
the thing is, too, is it works out. Look, we love the Raiders. We love football. And we're willing to look into things that we're not as knowledgeable in. I can tell you right now, I'm way more knowledgeable now about football and about everything, how everything works, than before the podcast started. I knew X's and O's, but it's like I'm breaking down tape better. I'm looking at things from an organizational standpoint a little bit better. It's really helped. It's really helped that you guys are going along the ride with us, because we couldn't do it without you guys.
Baby, again, thank you so much. You guys rock. Love the show.
Thanks, baby.
This has been our best chat so far. A lot of interaction. We love it. We still are not getting to the end of the Carr debate, but I think we're starting to learn. I learned this a long time ago. Being stuck in echo chambers with two people that agree on 100% and just nod at each other, you don't learn, you don't grow, you don't experience new things.
I've actually changed a little bit. I'm okay with keeping Carr, but I need to see a plan. Mm-hmm. The plan of just throwing another Band-Aid on top of another Band-Aid. Like, if we're going to keep Carr, we need a splash signing at receiver.
For sure.
Like Devontae Adams splash signing. Yeah. And that way we can maybe get him for a little bit less. Like, look, we need that money, bro. We're going to get your boy from college. We need to spend maybe 2 of our first three draft picks on offensive linemen, or if not, spend money on more offensive linemen, because we're going to get Denzel Good back. Richie Incognito probably not going to be back. No. Andre James, we're stuck with him. Yeah, we're stuck with him.
James is improved. James is trending the right way.
Dude, he got beat so bad this last game, dude.
No, his pass blocking was great. No.
His run blocking
wasn't.
And that's the thing is, I want to get Carr a better run game. But what does that look like when you have to play James, when you have to play Leatherwood? Mm. Like, it's not good, man. It's
the right side of that line. It needs
they're the worst
makeover.
I don't know if you saw that tweet. This is a tweet. The 2 worst offensive linemen in the NFL on pressure rates. So the amount of the percentage of dropbacks that they give up pressure to a quarterback, tied for the worst. Leatherwood and Parker both at 11%.
Yeah.
That's how bad that line is.
Brandon Parker might be the worst starting tackle in football, and Alex Leatherwood's flirting with being one of the worst guards in football.
Yeah, but you know what? We should just, oh man. Oh, ruffled a couple of feathers.
So this is what I okay, Sam.
Like Tim Brown.
I think Gannon would be a great team president, in my opinion. You will not find a bigger fan of Rich Gannon than me. We were colleagues briefly when he had a show on Sirius XM. I have a show on Sirius XM. He was my quarter. Like, he was, like, I was too young.
Quarterback, man.
I was too young, like, I was 6 months old when the Raiders won their last Super Bowl in '84, right? So, like, those like early years, like, I wasn't part of it, right? I wasn't born yet. Those great years, right? So, like, the first really great Raider experience was Gannon's team, the early 2000s Raiders team.
That's 2000.
That's the only like great Raiders team that I know. That's the only one I've been alive to watch. So I love me some Rich Gannon, but this is exactly the problem that Mark Davis has had, is hiring a Raider who's a buddy with none of the experience that we're talking about. Now, maybe he'd be great. He's clearly a good leader. He clearly, knows what winning's like, all these other things.
He understands he understands winning.
Smart guy, right? Like, he's got a lot of intangibles, but this is exactly what the Raiders have been doing forever, is hiring Gruden because he was here before. Hugh Jackson, just like all these guys, Art Shell, like all these guys that are just like, well, they're Raider guys, like they're us. They bleed silver and black. Dude, give me some dude with an MBA from Harvard. That's who I want. Give me that guy. Give me a super. Give me a former CEO of a company. Like, give me someone like that. That's going to run the Raiders efficiently and not the mont and pa that they are. Like, this is an NFL franchise. It is multi-billion-dollar. It is the economy of like Ecuador by itself, right? Like, it shouldn't be run ma and pa, and it keeps getting run. Now, bringing Rich Gannon as something like, I know John Gruden was kind of courting him to come on as like a quarterback's coach or something.
Consultant,
but Gannon's like, dude, I got tens of $1 million in the bank. I work when I want. I don't want to work 80 hours a week.
I don't want to upset the apple cart. But let me pose this to you. Let me pose this to you. I heard this floating around, and I'll give you the name. And before you poo-poo it, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Tim Brown, smart guy, good player, knows how to win, has experienced winning in his career and what a team looks like. He had a good relationship with Al Davis. He had a lot of conversations with him about teams and building and all that stuff. The comparison is Ozzie Newsome with the Ravens. They had no experience. Smart guy, was a part of winning a part of winning as a player. No experience at all. Went in and was probably one of the top handful of GMs or people running a franchise in his tenure. Mm-hmm. And he groomed a lot more people underneath him. Look at the Ravens now, dude. They are probably the most injury-riddled team in the NFL, and they're still on top of this of AFC Central. So they're a well-run franchise.
It's still just it's a giant risk though. Like you'll find winners, right? Like it'll happen, right? You do enough of them, but for every Aussie, there's 10 guys that washed out because it just wasn't their position. It's putting you in doing something you've never done before.
But then there's like the Dave Gettlemans of the world who are groomed to be that thing, and then they've taken a dump in New York. It's like
I don't want anybody who has no experience running a franchise. I have to have outside experience running a franchise, because the Raiders, it's like we just do the same thing over and over again, right? I need an outside influence modernizing this ma and pa shop.
Who's the last team president that we've had that was actually a team president?
Team president, not GM, team president, because sometimes they're interchangeable, right? Like they're kind of the same.
Not necessarily.
Like the titles will be,
because Amy Kraft was a team president.
President. Mm-hmm.
Ron Wolf was team president for a while. Then he went to the freaking Packers, balled out over there. But I mean, that's the thing is we need to have. When's the last time we had one? The last one we had was John Gruden.
Trask. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is that's when if we had one that was not like he's the mediator between the coach and the GM.
Mark Davis has like 37 office jobs, not even coaching jobs, like office jobs to fill, right? Like how they cleaned house.
He needs a team. That's the thing is he needs a team president to help him with that shit.
And that's the other part too, is it's not just the football operations. He needs a team president to do like a new controller, a new CFO, like bring stability to the back office as much as the front office.
I agree. And I as much as I hate Notre Dame, you got to be pretty fucking smart to get into Notre Dame. Okay, I'm just telling you that right now. Tim Brown went to Notre Dame.
I don't know. Rudy went the junior college route.
He still had to get the grades, though. Remember that part?
That's right. He busted his ass.
He had to bust his ass to get he's a dummy. He had to get in there.
Yep. But doing janitor work.
Yep. And then with Rock, what's his name? The guy who played Rock in that show.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The bald black dude. He's
janitor.
The janitor guy. No, he's
wise old janitor.
A grounds crew guy.
Yeah. All right.
He was in a show called Rock. But anyway, what I'm saying is, whether it's Gannon or whether it's Tim Brown, those are two guys that are tied to the Raiders that are smart guys. The thing is, if you're really a smart person, if you're an intelligent person, you know your lane. You know what you don't know, and you find people. Because look, just because you're the CEO of a company doesn't mean you're the smartest person working there. You're just in that role. you know the smart people to put in the decision-making roles, and you just kind of let them know what they can do and what they can't. But
Sure.
the thing is, they have to come with you with the information. So I don't see that being a bad thing per se, because it has worked in the past. It's just, let's get a president. Let's get somebody to be the president to kind of right this shit. Because our last president was a fucking maverick, dude. Gruden was crazy.
My thing is, there's no shortage of Raider-loving former Raiders in that building that know football. There's a giant shortage of incredibly smart, experienced, like kind of corporate-minded guys, which is what this franchise needs. It doesn't need more guys with a lot of dirt underneath their fingernails. But they need to do with a Harvard PhD to modernize everything.
If the president's going to hire the head coach and the president's going to appoint the GM, he has to have football knowledge. I would rather have a football guy who's really smart than a guy with an MBA who's like, I know.
Give me a guy with an MBA and he hires Tim Brown, Charles Woodson, and Rich Gannon to be his consiglieres. Like, he's got his little board of directors, right? He puts up the bat signal, he puts up the Raider signal, right? And all the former Raider greats come in, sits down. Yeah,
is he still on TV?
Sits down and does it. Yeah.
See,
he can still do. He can be a consigliere role. All right, last one. Head coaching candidates. Let's assuming, do we go defense or offense?
I say we go defense, man.
Okay, explain.
From my research in the NFL, most of the teams that are consistent winners year in and year out are defensive minded coaches. You have some offensive minded coaches who have very good spikes, but then they kind of get back down to, like, the 9-8 win total, because you're very dependent on like weapons, on specific guys to make plays. Defensively, you can have a core, a unit, and you can lose one or two players off of there and still be a good defensive unit. If you lose your best receiver, if you lose Ruggs, your offense goes to shit. And Ruggs really wasn't a top flight receiver, but that kind of coincides with our offensive plummet was when we lost Ruggs. So
I think the answer is obvious. Deuce Gruden. Can't beat it, right?
Oh, God.
The guy can bench press 450. Got to go Deuce.
He's more like Deuce is like the two syringes he takes every day.
Taking a Deuce Gruden.
God damn, two syringes in each cheek.
That's it for us. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Awesome chat today, everybody. Thank you so much for the super chats. We're going to start doing a lot more of this. We'll have tomorrow our regular show, the big show that we do every single Wednesday.
Yeah.
And of course, as news breaks and things change, we'll be right back here to talk with all y'all all about it. But until then, knock on wood if you're with me.